Good morning, fellow water activists. I'm Sam, and this is Jen, and welcome to your Recognition Day. Today marks the completion of months of study and work on your part, and is a well-deserved chance for us at Learning for a Sustainable Future and Water Docs to celebrate all that you have done.
We are so excited about all of it, the studying that you did to learn about the water and watersheds, and especially the Great Lakes watershed where we all live. The projects that you created and ran in your own communities, and the excellent documentary films that you have created. You have accomplished a lot. And just a quick note for anyone watching this stream, if you need closed captioning, there is an option to turn that feature on just in the bottom right corner of the YouTube video. So now, before we go any further today, we would like to begin this event with a land acknowledgement. So we would like to begin by acknowledging the many territories on which we gather virtually today across Canada as the ancestral homelands of many diverse Indigenous peoples. We thank the past, present, and future caretakers of this land, and we are so grateful to have the opportunity to work and learn in a community of sharing. May we learn well the lessons our Indigenous neighbors have to teach us about living on and with this earth, and about honoring the water that is the lifeblood of us all. And we often like to share some artwork alongside a land acknowledgement to highlight some of the incredible contributions that Indigenous artists are making across Canada. This illustration that you see here is from the book, The Water Walker by Joanne Robertson, who many of you had the privilege of seeing in your Water Walkers workshop. Joanne is an Anishinaabe writer, illustrator, and water steward. And the text beside this image in the story reads, "She looked around. She saw how people were disrespecting the water, wasting it, making it unfit for life." Now I'll hand it back to Sam to thank some of our supporters of this program.
It's especially important to us that we are able to offer this program completely without cost to all of your schools, as this helps ensure that every school in every part of the province is able to participate equally. And one of the ways that we're able to do this is through generous financial support from TD Friends of the Environment Foundation. We'd also like to thank our partners at Ecologos for making this program possible. And last but not least, we also appreciate the generous organizations and individuals whose names you see here on the screen. We are so grateful for all of their generous support. Now I'd like to take the opportunity to bring you a message from Ecologos founder and executive director, Stan Gibson.
Hello, welcome to Water Docs at School Action Projects Student Recognition Event for the end of this school year. 6,500 grade 7 and 8 students have completed the Water Docs at School program over its 8 years duration. It's very hard to imagine a better apprenticeship for these young students to learn about and care about the natural world. When you think about it, that the program engages them for a part of every school day for 7 or 8 months, it's pretty hard that they could emerge from this without being stewards of the natural world for life. We want to thank the teachers and students who have worked so hard this year. We want to thank those who make it possible financially for us to do this, especially TD Friends of the Environment and the Ursuline Sisters. And Ecologos especially wants to thank our program partner, Learning for a Sustainable Future. What a great partner and what a great organization. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stan, and all of Ecologos. It is our great pleasure to welcome you all to this Recognition Day. Thank you for attending this special event. Jen and I are here from Learning for a Sustainable Future. LSF is a charity that's been around since 1991. We work all across Canada, but our headquarters are here in Toronto. Our goal is to integrate sustainability education into the school system. We think students should be learning more about sustainability, the environment, and how to be active and responsible citizens. And we do this by working at all levels, with government, school boards, your teachers, and you and other young people across the country. We want to empower students like you to make our world a better place. We've really enjoyed working with you this year through the Water Brothers webinar, the Youth Forum workshops, and watching your amazing films. We're here today to celebrate the hard work you've done to learn more about water, take action, and become filmmakers. We want to thank each and every one of you for your commitment to the Water Docs at School program. To recognize this commitment, we'll be sending each class a certificate of appreciation for each one of you in recognition of your successful participation in Water Docs at School Action Projects 2020-2021. These certificates will be signed by Pam Schwartzberg, the President and CEO of LSF, and Stan Gibson, the Executive Director of EcoLogos, the parent organization behind the Water Docs Film Festival. I really want to congratulate every class that managed to complete any part of the program this year. We all had some extra challenges to overcome this year, especially for schools across Ontario. So all of you should be very proud of what you were able to accomplish. It's really a testament to you and your teachers that we still received an incredible batch of film submissions for this year's program. A lot of today is going to be about the students and everything you've done to become water stewards and filmmakers this year. But let's all take this moment to say thank you to all of your teachers as well. This year definitely wasn't easy for them. I know quite a few of them were brand new to virtual school and had to learn as they went. So to be able to complete the Water Docs at School program under these challenging circumstances is a real achievement for them too. So students, remember to thank your teachers today. To recognize the accomplishments of every Water Docs at School class this year, we've put together a special presentation.
Therefore, we, the undersigned, petition the Legislative Assembly of Ontario to revoke the MZO and stop the warehouse development on provincially significant Duffins Creek wetland. I fully support this petition. We'll sign it and send it to the table.
We were pretty pumped out about that, but then the news started coming in. It turns out that it was actually Amazon that wanted to build the warehouse, and because of rising public pressure from actions like ours, they were no longer interested. And then came the news that the city of Pickering was going to withdraw the MZO for the area. We attended the city council meeting just to be sure, and it actually happened. They asked the province to repeal the part of the MZO that included the warehouse, and they promised to reach out to discuss the issue with the Mississaugas of Squilak Island First Nations. The wetland was saved. We couldn't believe it. We actually saved the Duffins Creek wetland.
After talking with Mr. Hartwell, we found out if you have lead in your pipes, you don't have to worry, just don't drink it.
Use your water even if it contains lead in many other ways. You can use it to clean some things in your house like dust surfaces or wash some clothes. You can do anything with water, that doesn't mean drinking it. You can also get a plumber to put a filter in your pipes so that you can get access to clean and non-lead water.
You can get filtered water in containers where you can buy from stores.
And remember, stay safe and drink filtered water.
Did you know that the laundry detergent you use every day is affecting your own freshwater resource?
Yeah, the phosphates and sodium silicate in the detergents can actually cause freshwater algae bloom, and they pollute the water with toxins.
Those toxins actually harm the fish by killing their eggs and skin. It also affects the wildlife that lives near it and relies on the water.
So how can we fix this problem? We can educate people on how not to use non-biodegradable detergent.
Hi, we are students working on a Water Docs project, and today we only want to take a small amount of your time to talk about dog waste getting into waterways and contaminating it. We know it doesn't seem like an important issue, but it actually is. A common misconception is that dog waste will decompose on its own. But that is not the case. Dog waste is actually very harmful to the surrounding community because it can get into waterways and contaminate it. Dog waste is full of harmful bacteria and parasites which can cause some serious harm to humans.
Yes, I do. In our country and in North America, we waste a lot more food than in the past. Although in third world countries, it's almost unthinkable.
Absolutely, I think they waste a lot of food. They don't value what a meal is. And because of that, it's quicker to go for fast foods than real food. Where if they took the time to cook the real food, I'm pretty sure they would save more.
Sustainable clothing is clothing that is made out of materials that are eco-friendly. These fabrics include natural or recycled materials. These natural or recycled materials include fiber crops. Some examples of these fiber crops are bamboo or organic cotton. More than 90% of fiber crops are grown in Thailand and India. Fiber crops such as bamboo and organic cotton are sustainable and safe for the environment because they can be used without depleting or damaging the environment. We can minimize clothing's negative impact on the environment and human health by committing to buy sustainable clothing.
Over the past 25 years, 100 First Nations communities have been left underwater advisories. These range from boil water advisories to do not consume advisories. One particular community, known as the Neskatanga First Nation, have been under a boil water advisory for the past 25 years. The Neskatanga community is located along the Attawapisca Lake in northern Ontario. Follow us on our journey as we help raise awareness for the Neskatanga community.
People all over the world think that when they litter, it is only one piece of plastic, and that's not going to cause any issue.
However, this is one piece too many. There are approximately 6.7 million particles of plastic per square kilometer in Lake Ontario.
This is having a detrimental effect on nature, and it circles back into your food and drinking water. When microplastics enter your body, they harm your tissues or
Do you really want to be listening to plastics and other chemicals? We're going to be showing you how these microplastics have a massive effect on the environment and the future of our planet.
Did you know that in the past, Canada was draining raw sewage into rivers in the Great Lakes? Sewage being dumped into our oceans is a big issue in today's world. This is happening around the globe in places like India, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and Indonesia. This water is so dirty that it's not even safe to drink.
Thank you to all of the classes that submitted films. If that compilation of hard work and passion doesn't inspire you, I don't know what will. So now, as you may know, we award 2 prizes to Water Docs at School Films. 1 prize is for Best Film and 1 is for Best Project. The winning class in each category will receive a $500 gift card to Staples, which we hope your school can use to support future films for Water Docs at School. So the first category that we will be for Best Film. And for this award, I will remind you of the criteria that we were looking for. A clear concept and an interesting storyline that flows all the way through. Effective use of visual imagery and special effects. Good use of film techniques, including framing, lighting, and editing. And good sound quality with consistent volume levels and good balance between dialogue and music. So now, the films shortlisted for Best Film are the TDSB Virtual Elementary School, LC4 for Reducing Food Waste, Inspiration from Our Elders, Mount Royal Public School for Sustainable Clothing, and Maple Grove Public School for Microplastics. Tiny plastics are a massive issue. So please join us in viewing our shortlisted best films. And the first one that we're going to watch today is Reducing Food Waste, Inspiration from Our Elders by the TDSB Virtual Elementary School, LC4.
Yes, I do. In our country and in North America, we waste a lot more food than in the past. Although in third world countries, it's almost unthinkable.
Absolutely, I think they waste a lot of food. They don't value what a meal is. And because of that, it's quicker to go for fast foods than real food. Where if they took the time to cook the real food, I'm pretty sure they would save more and not have to waste so much stuff.
지금은 도시 생활하고 있거든요. 서울 생활하고 있으니까 서울 생활을 하는 사람들이나 또 시골 생활도 그렇게 됐지만 생활인구도 넉넉해져서 음식을 귀한지 모르고 먹고 버리는 게 많아. 근데 저희 가정은 버리는 거에 절대 금물이에요.
I think that food is cheaper than it used to be. So people buy more and then they waste more. In the past, food was more expensive, so people just bought what they needed.
In Ontario, people produce about 3.6 million tons of food waste every year. That's about $31 billion thrown away in the trash.
Have you ever gone shopping with an empty stomach? Well, I sure have, and because I was so hungry, I bought more than I really needed.
This is a red flag as you end up buying food that you usually won't buy. And after a while, reality will come pouring in and you may realize you won't be able to finish all by this due date.
In some cases, you may have bought products that were very close to their expiry dates, so you throw them out in fear that they have already gone bad. This is especially true for dairy products like milk.
In most cases, you may have totally forgotten about much of the food in your fridge and only find out once they almost past the expiry date.
Another very likely situation is having leftovers from a meal. This can be because there has been too much food cooked, so you put the leftovers in containers only to not want to eat them for the upcoming meals. And as they are abandoned in the fridge, the food starts to expire and most often they get thrown away.
Canadians are throwing out good edible food in a way it's like throwing your money down the drain.
Just in general, why should people care about food waste?
Because that food can be used for people who are starving and dying of starvation. So that food can be useful to a lot of people that are that don't have basic needs like food. So it's important to care because the food is being wasted, which is not a good thing. If it wasn't being wasted, it could have been used for something better. So it's there's a better purpose than just wasting it.
But there's also another reason, and I actually didn't know this. But when food gets thrown into landfills, it creates a large amount of methane, which rots, and it creates a gas that it's and it's really harmful to the environment and humans.
We were both born when the war was in this last year, so there had been food shortages, there was rationing, people were kind of going to their gardens, and instead of having grass, they were planting things that they could eat.
有些人需要就是有些人有养猪啊，这些给猪吃。
Sometimes my mom would use them to make a different dish. So if there was any leftover turkey from Thanksgiving, she would chop it up and put it into noodles and a creamy sauce and make turkey tetrazzini from leftover meat.
The best way to reduce food waste is to put less on your plate. Take what you can eat. If you are still hungry, you can go and get more.
Don't eat a snack when it is almost lunch or dinner, because then you won't feel hungry and it's time to eat. That way you only eat as much food as you need to, and no leftover food is thrown away.
Our next food waste tip for you is to buy ugly fruits and vegetables. Next time you go produce shopping, try to look out for misshapen or aesthetically displeasing fruits and vegetables. They're just as good as regular ones, and you can often get them at a discount. Plus, the purple one in the back looks a lot like a flamingo.
By keeping a food waste diary, you're keeping track of what you could have eaten or thrown out because it wasn't edible, to make sure you aren't wasting food someone else could have eaten. Keeping a food waste diary will not only keep you organized, but also help the world. Just because your food looks different or has an imperfection doesn't mean it's bad. So get a food waste diary today and stop wasting perfectly good food.
Take a look at the packaging of your food. What does the date say? Is it used by or is it best by? This may not seem that significant to you, but it truly makes all the difference. If it says used by, I sadly don't see a future for it. However, if it says best by, try smelling it, maybe giving it a taste test. Just because it's not as fresh as it could be doesn't mean you need to chuck it in the trash. You won't believe how much money you'll save.
Pasta with meat sauce, chicken with rice. These are dishes that I usually prepare where there's no food waste. My mother taught me how to cook both of these dishes. Freezing fruits and vegetables as well as natural juices to make smoothies, using bones for meat products to make broths and soups. These are things you can do to prevent food waste.
And one of the things that I think is really good to do is cook a lot and partition them off in smaller meals and possibly freeze them and basically what that does, prevents you from having to cook every single day, but also preserving the meal that you are planning to eat. Plan your meals for the day, plan your meals for the week. That's a good thing. And once your meats are seasoned or, it's a longer lifespan because those are natural preservatives in it. So my thing is, I think the best thing to do is just make a lot of meals and save them.
One technique to keep food from wasting was or even if food had gone off a little bit, if you used hot peppers would disguise the taste of food that was starting to go off, or in some ways it might also preserve the food by killing the bacteria.
We can learn a lot from indigenous people in that often most of anything that we choose to eat is good to eat, and learning not to waste food and throw away parts of food that are perfectly edible.
The dishes that I make where no food is wasted are the ones that our family loves the most. So things like lasagna, chicken parmesan, chicken cacciatore, dugosht, which is an Indian curry. We eat every last scrap because I just know what our family loves to eat, and so I make those dishes.
就是我们会把前天剩下的话，我们可能会做一些新的菜出来，比如说剩的饭，我们可以做一些炒饭，然后剩菜，我们可能第二天我们可能还会再炒一下，再重新热一下，我们都可以吃。
Go on frequent shopping trips to avoid things going bad.
This was very enjoyable, and I learned a lot of new things. So thanks.
Yeah, I hope the audience learned something too.
그게 끝이. 할머니 너무 감사해요.
이거야.
Thank you, TDFC Virtual Elementary School. Incredible work on this film. Next up, we're going to watch the Sustainable Clothing film by Mount Royal Public School. Enjoy.
Sustainable clothing is clothing that is made out of materials that are eco-friendly. These fabrics include natural or recycled materials. These natural or recycled materials include fiber crops. Some examples of these fiber crops are bamboo or organic cotton. More than 90% of fiber crops are grown in Thailand and India. Fiber crops such as bamboo and organic cotton are sustainable and safe for the environment because they can be used without depleting or damaging the environment. We can minimize clothing's negative impact on the environment and human health by committing to buy sustainable clothing. Did you know that polyester is made from one of the most common plastics in the world? A good way to tell sustainable clothing from non-sustainable clothing is to look at the label and the materials it is made from. When looking at the labels, you should look for materials like linen, hemp, tencel, silk, bamboo, or organic cotton.
We conducted an online survey of students in grades 6 to 8 at Mount Royal Public School. The results are based on surveying 81 people. Do you know what sustainable clothing is? Many people don't seem to be educated about sustainable clothing. How many new pieces of clothing have you bought since the pandemic started? The majority of people have bought 1 to 5 pieces of clothing, and the minority of people have bought 20 plus clothing items since the pandemic started. How many new pieces of clothing did you buy 1 year prior to the pandemic? Majority of people bought 11 to 20 pieces of clothing, and the minority of people bought 1 to 5 clothing items 1 year prior to the pandemic. Then we asked students which clothing brand they own the most of or prefer. We got names of a variety of brands, but the top 3 were Nike, H&M, and Roots. The majority of them are fast fashion and not eco-friendly. We also asked if the respondents feel that they buy sustainable clothing. Even though many people answered yes, there weren't a lot of sustainable clothing brands mentioned in the previous question. This suggests that some may not know the difference between sustainable and non-sustainable clothing brands.
As our world slowly adjusts to life in a pandemic, we must not forget that our planet still needs our help. Through education and awareness, we can all work together to make a difference, one piece of clothing at a time. We must hold our favorite clothing brands and their retailers accountable. And we must ask ourselves these questions. What are my clothes made of? Is this material sustainable? Who makes my clothes and how are they treated? Are the workers being exploited? How do my clothes get to me? Is it produced locally? How long can I wear this piece of clothing? The fashion and textile industry is the second largest polluter in the world. You must choose. Will you be an accomplice to the problem, or will you take action to be part of the solution?
Thank you, Mount Royal. Awesome work on this film. And the final shortlisted film for Best Film category is Microplastics. Tiny plastics are a massive issue by Maple Grove Public School. Enjoy.
People all over the world think that when they litter, it is only one piece of plastic, and that's not going to cause any issue.
However, this is one piece too many. There are approximately 6.7 million particles of plastic per square kilometer in Lake Ontario.
This is having a detrimental effect on nature, and it circles back into your food and drinking water. When microplastics enter your body, they harm your tissues and organs.
Do you really want to be listening to plastics and other chemicals? We're going to be showing you how these microplastics have a massive effect on the environment and the future of our planet. Hi, I'm Spencer. I'm Adine. My name is Harjan. And I'm Daniel. And we are the Microplastic Exterminators.
You may be wondering, what are microplastics? A microplastic is any plastic that is less than 5 millimeters in diameter. There are 2 types of microplastics, primary and secondary. Primary microplastics are from commercial use, which include fishing nets, clothing, and cosmetics. Furthermore, microbeads, which are less than 1 millimeter in their largest dimension, account for 14% of all microplastics in Lake Ontario. Through the gradual wearing down of synthetic textiles, especially polyester and fleece, fibers break down and enter our water supply. However, alternatives that emit little to no microfibers, such as cotton, are available. Secondary microplastics are created when large particles, otherwise referred to as macroplastics, such as plastic water bottles and single-use straws, break down. This fragmentation is due to photodegradation, which is sunlight exposure, physical, biological, and chemodegradation.
We also had the wonderful opportunity to interview the manager of the wastewater treatment center in Halton, John Dwan.
The region takes care of and is responsible for all the wastewater and water treatment. Microplastics is a new and emerging issue. Microplastics is defined as basically less than 5 million. I know is that the big problem has been microbeads.
Many people argue that even if plastic manages to get into our water, we can still remove it using the wastewater treatment process.
But as we learned from John Dwan,
and then when you go to the secondary treatment, microplastics are further removed by 86% to 99.8%.
Even if 1.1% of plastics manage to get into our waterways, it can still lead to hundreds of thousands of microplastics. There are many issues that are linked to this problem. Some of the plastic that pass through a gastrointestinal tract enter the bloodstream and damage organs by discharging hazardous chemicals. Scientists say that when they accumulate, they can lead to conditions such as cancer and heart disease. Furthermore, microplastics more than 100 nanometers in size are known as nanoplastics. Nanoplastics can cross cellular membranes and affect the functioning of cells. Nanoplastics can cause stress and changes in behavior.
Studies have shown that there are a lot of harmful chemicals in microplastics, which leads to metabolic syndrome. This increases the risk of being diagnosed with diseases such as heart disease and type 2 diabetes. In addition, microplastics even cross the blood-brain barrier, and there's some evidence that it can lead to birth defects and miscarriage during pregnancy. Furthermore, styrene, which is a chemical found in plastic, has been proven to lead to nervous system problems and hearing loss. Finally, there has been a high concentration of carcinogenic chemicals found in plastic, and this leads to cancer.
Furthermore, fish and other marine creatures stake them for food and eat them. Also, research has found that humans consume 5 grams of microplastics per week. Shrimp and other bottom feeders eat sediment on the ocean floor, but microplastics get mixed in with the seabed. When the creatures are eaten, the plastic gets transferred through the food chain in a process called trophic transfer. This means that the animals don't even need to consume it.
Microplastics are one of the biggest pollutants of our soil and can permanently affect these ecosystems. This can greatly affect the plant's growth. There's also plastic in our soil which trickles down into our groundwater, so towns and rural areas that rely on it could also be digesting microplastics.
After realizing how massive this problem was, we visited a section of Lake Ontario and looked for any plastic items that were not disposed of properly. We wanted to make sure that our action lasted, so we made an Instagram page and website educating our community. We also wrote a letter to our local MPP and MP about increasing the amount of recycling boxes around Oakville. Furthermore, we wrote a letter to some of the main contributors to this problem, fast food chains such as Tim Hortons and McDonald's, to recommend they reduce the amount of plastic they use. Finally, we submitted an article to a newspaper editor to educate the public about this problem.
Microplastics are a massive problem. Our team has come up with many solutions to rectify this issue, but we can't save the world on our own. What can you do to help us, humans, animals, and the environment? Well, if you see plastic on the ground, pick it up. You can also minimize the amount of single-use plastics that you buy. You can reduce the amount of plastic-wrapped food you buy as well. In addition, buy natural fibers like cotton and reduce the amount of laundry you do weekly. Also, you can buy laundry balls and filters that reduce the amount of microfibers that break off clothes by 60 to 80%. Lastly, reduce, reuse, recycle.
What you do today can ensure a better future tomorrow. Together, we can accomplish anything. You have the power to reduce your plastic consumption. Change your plastic habits and keep our water safe.
Congratulations to all 3 classes on your incredible films. So without further ado, it gives me great pleasure to announce that this year's winning class in the category of Best Film is Maple Grove Public School for their film Microplastics, Tiny Plastics Are a Massive Issue. Your class will receive a $500 Staples gift card to support your future filmmaking endeavors. And huge congratulations also to our runners-up at TDSB Virtual Elementary School LC4 for food waste, inspiration from our elders, and to our honorable mention, Mount Royal Public School for sustainable clothing. You will each receive a certificate recognizing your achievement in the Best Film category. Now I'll pass it over to Sam to tell us about the Best Project category.
Our second category is for Best Project. For this award, we are looking for projects that were youth-led from start to finish, a defined project goal that addressed a local water issue, accurate, appropriate data and research, involvement of stakeholders, and demonstration of creative action and measurable impact. The films shortlisted for this year's Best Project Award are HDSB Virtual Elementary School East for biodegradable detergents, DDSB at Home Elementary for Duffins Defenders, and TDSB Virtual Elementary School LC4 for the Murky Reality. Please join us in viewing our shortlisted best projects. The first one up is Biodegradable Detergents by HDSB Virtual Elementary School East.
Did you know that the laundry detergent you use every day is affecting your own freshwater resource?
Yeah, the phosphates and sodium silicate in the detergents can actually cause freshwater algae bloom, and they pollute the water with toxins.
Those toxins actually harm the fish by killing their eggs and skin. It also affects the wildlife that lives near it and relies on the water.
So how can we fix this problem? We can educate people on how not to use non-biodegradable detergent.
Laundry detergent is extremely bad for the fresh water and for you, but you may ask, how does that work?
Well, the phosphate salts in laundry detergents give freshwater plants too many nutrients, which makes them grow bigger and bigger and deprives other species of oxygen, causing them to get sick and die.
A lot of laundry detergents are fatal if ingested, which we now know because of the Tide Pod Challenge. And they don't fully biodegrade, so they'll stay in the water for years.
So now that you know how dangerous laundry detergent is to freshwater, let's see how it works.
I did an experiment to see how plants, water, and clothes react to the different detergents. Because if biodegradable detergents didn't work, then why would we even be doing this project? I soaked the leaves in detergent for days to see what would happen, and the results were crazy. Turns out, the biodegradable detergent was actually better for the plant and water. The normal detergent stayed thick and made the leaf frail, whereas the biodegradable one kept the water clean and the leaf healthy. Of course, I had to see how they would do in washing, because that's what laundry detergents are actually meant for, and as expected, they performed the same. Overall, I would say that the biodegradable detergent did better in all of the experiments, especially in the leaf and water dissolving one.
I wanted to interview people around the neighborhood, but because of lockdown, I had to do it virtually. I called and texted 15 people in the neighborhood and interviewed them asking what laundry detergent they used and if they'd use biodegradable laundry detergent in the future after hearing about the effects it has on the environment. Surprisingly, only 2 out of 15 people use biodegradable laundry detergent, which is shocking since Oakville has a population of 210,000. Out of the 13 disgraceful people who don't use biodegradable laundry detergent, 12 out of 13 said they'd buy environmentally safe laundry detergent in the future, and 1 person said if it's affordable. Here's one of the interviews we did.
Laundry detergent, I believe that we use Tide Pods. I do not know if it is biodegradable. I assume that it's not, which is upsetting. Would I consider buying biodegradable laundry detergent in the future? Yes, once I get my own job and start doing my own laundry.
I wanted to ask some family about what they think about biodegradable detergent. Surprisingly, almost all of them didn't care. All of them used biodegradable detergent, which confused me a lot. Here are the voiceovers of what they said.
Which laundry detergent do you use? Hi, what do you think about how laundry detergent affects fresh water?
I think it's bad.
Will you consider purchasing biodegradable laundry detergent?
Yes.
I sent out an email to a bunch of different stores and I asked them a bit about their laundry detergents. I didn't get any response. After that happened, I decided to email 3 important people. So I wrote an email talking about the consequences of regular laundry detergents, and I sent that email out to Pam Damoff, the mayor of Oakville, and Sean O'Mara. Out of those 3 people, I got 1 response from Sean O'Mara, and he said that this was a huge concern of his, but there wasn't much he could do. So he sent my email out to somebody who could make changes to what goes into these regular laundry detergents. And she said in her email that climate change is a very serious problem and that they want to do everything they can to fight against it. She took the liberty of forwarding my email to the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change to be taken into consideration.
I set up a Facebook and Instagram poll on my mom's page to ask what laundry detergents her friends or followers use. After that, I added some facts about laundry detergents and the way that they affect fresh water. Then I asked if they changed their minds and now would use biodegradable or eco-friendly detergents. Surprisingly, everyone actually said that they would, so I would say that my survey was successful.
We realized that biodegradable laundry detergents need to be more well known because people don't know what happens to their water when regular laundry detergent goes in.
Spreading the knowledge and educating people about this problem made us think about all the other problems in the world and how they also need to be solved.
Out of all of the people we talked to, almost all of them said they'd try and buy biodegradable laundry detergent in the future and spread the information. There are a lot of ways that you can help.
First, let's start commonly buying biodegradable laundry detergents instead of regular.
You can educate yourself and others about biodegradable detergent or eco-friendly detergent.
You can wash your clothes in bigger loads, which will help reduce your water usage and bill. You can also follow the Instagram we have. It's biodegradable_detergent.
Thank you to Water Dogs for making this possible.
Thank you, HDSB Virtual Elementary School East. Amazing work with this project and on this film. Next up, we have DDSB at Home Elementary, and because we're a little tight on time today, we'll be playing a slightly shortened version of their Duffins Defenders film.
We are a concerned group of grade 7 students who are worried about the recent events that have happened to the Duffins Creek wetland in Pickering, Ontario. We read an article back in October 2020 about a proposed warehouse development on a wetland connected to Duffins Creek, and it caught our attention. So we decided to look further into this issue and see what we could learn.
Hello everybody, and right now I'm sitting on the Duffins Creek wetland. The main issue is that this piece of land I'm standing on, it doesn't look like much, but it turns out that this is a wetland key to the health of our Duffins Creek watershed. The city of Pickering and the region of Durham must build an Amazon warehouse, one of the biggest in Canada, as well as a parking lot. They asked for special permission to build here using an MZO from the provincial government, and they were given the go-ahead. However, many people are upset about this decision.
Wetlands are key to our environment. They provide a habitat to migratory birds, fish, and amphibians. They help combat climate change by capturing carbon. They filter rainwater and protect our rivers and lakes from erosion. This prevents water pollution and protects marine life.
After hearing about the overall importance of wetlands, not only for the wildlife that rely on the area, but also for our own health and safety, we wondered why anyone would want to pave over it. So you wrote a letter to the mayor of Pickering, David Ryan. Mayor Ryan was the one who asked the provincial government for special permission to build the warehouse and parking lot in this location. Ryan Ginto, the manager of public affairs, came to our virtual class for an interview on behalf of Mayor Ryan.
We learned from other interviews that there were, I think, 3 other places that this warehouse could be built. Why specifically did you choose Duffins Creek?
They wanted to be off of the highway, off of Highway 401. So the warehouse, it's going to create 2,000 jobs. So those 2,000 jobs, they're not jobs that can be done remotely. So when people are able to work closer to home, it's better for the environment.
If you build the warehouse and you're getting 2,000 jobs, what about the wildlife that lives there? Won't you be destroying at least 200 animals?
We had a chance to talk with an urban planner working for the Toronto and Region Conservation Authority, TRCA, Steve Heikert.
I have never been in a situation where there has been a request to remove such a large provincially significant wetland. Usually the wetlands are off limits.
How can the City of Pickering get around the fact that this is a protected wetland? Why would they want to do that?
So the city council decided that they wanted to change that component of their plan, because they apparently felt that the warehouse development was more important to them than the wetland. And so they asked the province of Ontario, through one of their ministers, or the members of provincial parliament, to make a decision to change the zoning on the property to now allow for the warehouse.
It turns out that the key to the dispute is something called an MZO, or Minister's Zoning Order.
But what is an MZO?
When you want to build something, you need to go through the TRCA and public consultation. If the government were to use the normal procedure, they would have to go through the TRCA, who would say no to the development, since the wetland is an important part of the environment. Using an MZO, the government was able to avoid the TRCA and go directly to the building. Second, because of COVID-19, the government hid behind the fact that COVID had destroyed the economy, and using an MZO, they say they can rebuild it.
We know the land in question is part of the traditional and treaty territory of the Mississaugas of Scugog Island, so we reached out to Chief Kelly LaRocca for her opinion on the matter.
So the Canadian Constitution says, as part of it, that it owes a duty of consultation for Aboriginal and treaty right infringement. It has to consult the Indigenous communities across Canada if it is going to develop on or change the constitution of any Indigenous, Aboriginal, and treaty rights. So what does that mean? Well, it just means they have to talk to us. Wetlands are a non-renewable resource. That's why the First Nations of the Williams Treaties feel that it's so important that we would be consulted on the transaction, because we would have told the Conservation Authority that. We would have told that to the Pickering Council, and we definitely would have told that to the province.
It was clear that we felt that the wetland was worth saving. Not only is it an important part of our environment, but it was rezoned without the consultation of local First Nations, and the MZO seemed like a way to cheat the system and ignore the voices of the citizens.
It was important to let people know not only about the wetland that was in danger of being paved over, but also about the missing voices of the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nation, who had a constitutional right to be consulted. We wrote a petition to ask our MPPs to remove the MZO from the Duffins Creek wetland and to stop the development.
We also joined forces with a local group of youth activists protesting the development. They hosted a shoe strike in front of Pickering City Hall. It was a way to have a safe demonstration during the current pandemic. Devin and Ali took all the shoes, over 900 pairs, and lined them up in front of the town hall, so the mayor and council of Pickering can see that a lot of people are against this development from happening on this provincially significant wetland.
We even got MPP Mike Shiner to read our petition in the Legislative Assembly.
Allison Elwoods, Durham District School Board Grade 7 virtual class, for sending me this petition. Therefore, we, the undersigned, petition the Legislative Assembly of Ontario to revoke the MZO and stop the warehouse development on provincially significant Duffins Creek wetland. I fully support this petition. We'll sign it and send it to the table.
We were pretty pumped out about that, but then the news started coming in. It turns out that it was actually Amazon that wanted to build the warehouse, and because of rising public pressure from actions like ours, they were no longer interested. And then came the news that the city of Pickering was going to withdraw the MZO for the area. We attended the city council meeting just to be sure, and it actually happened. They asked the province to repeal the part of the MZO that included the warehouse, and they promised to reach out to discuss the issue with the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nations. The wetland was saved. We couldn't believe it. We actually saved the Duffins Creek wetland.
It was not all good news. Because of this project, we learned that wetlands all over Ontario are being developed at an alarming rate, and First Nation voices continue to be ignored. We also learned that MZOs are being used to fast-track development projects over the science and the voices of the people. If you hear of an MZO that is being used in your area, get the facts. Write to your local First Nations and see what they think. Write to your elected representatives and make your voices heard. After all, once a wetland is paved over, it cannot be unpaved. They are lost forever.
If we want to be seen as an equal, if we want to be free seeds, plant the seeds, plant the seeds.
Back in the day we used to raise our maize, planting the seeds and feeding up the people. Today my boys grow.
Thank you, DDSB at Home Elementary. What an awesome project. The full version of their film is amazing, and I encourage you all to check it out once we post it to this YouTube channel. The final shortlisted film for Best Project category is The Murky Reality by TDSB Virtual Elementary School LC4. Enjoy. Congratulations to all three classes on your incredible projects. I hope you're all very proud of the impacts you've been able to make this year. Without further ado, it gives me great pleasure to announce that this year's winning class in the category of Best Project is CDSB at Home Elementary for Duffins Defenders. Your class will receive a $500 Staples gift card to support your future filmmaking endeavors. Congratulations also to our runners-up, HDSB Virtual Elementary School East for biodegradable detergents, and our honorable mention, TDSB Virtual Elementary School LC4 for the Murky Reality. You will each receive a certificate recognizing your achievement in the Best Project category. Whether you are one of our winners today or not, on behalf of LSF and Water Docs, we want to thank you all so much for participating in the Water Docs at School program this year. Your water activism has helped make our Great Lakes watershed a better place, and your films will continue to inspire other students across Canada to become change makers just like you. We hope that you'll carry all the things you learned with you today and keep creating that ripple effect. Thank you for coming, everyone, and have a safe and fun summer.